Guys, last weekend we had a crazy amount of BSF. We had 5 BSFs, right? And we also started off the AO region with their BSF tournaments as well. So once again, we have Fuzzy Paradox here making some great graphics on just every single tournament. Go check him out. Go follow him on Twitter. Say thanks. And let's kind of start off with the Spain and the American ones. Just because, you know, we're used to Europe, we're used to America. We're going to jump into the Asia places later, right? So first off, we have Spain, we have the standard here. We're only going to look at top 4 today just because there's so many decks to go through. And we're only going to look at some of the more interesting decks if they are available. And once again, on Thursdays, I'll be doing VG top decks with Kelvin. And we'll be looking through more decks there as well. Usually at the end, if you guys submit your decks, you're in BSF time, we're going to put it in. We're going to read your story. So let's kind of start off with Spain. We had Poetic Justice coming in first. They were taking Gravidia, Magnolia, and Barrow. A very straightforward lineup. The Gravidia, Magnolia lineup is just... It is just pretty much the premier lineup when you go into these tournaments is what a lot of people are taking. Diff Riders was second with the Gravidia, Magnolia, and Bruce lineup, so the Bruce being the third deck. Team Valiant in third was taking in a Magnolia, Gravidia, and Flagberg lineup. And then Hungarian Ventura came in a fourth place, and they instead brought Magnolia, Baru, and Bastion. So the main difference there is they didn't bring the Gravidia, which has been so popular. Right? Actually so popular. Now, one of the interesting decks we can take a look here is this Flagberg deck. And I mean, a lot of people have been, you know, hyping up Flagberg. They've been saying this is great, right? This is great. Kai, you were crazy for saying this deck sucks. It's all right. Flagberg is okay. It's not. I wouldn't say it's like tier 1 kind of thing, but it's only going to get better. And we can see some of the innovations with Flagbergs again, right? A lot of times we've been talking about just like normal Flagberg, but guess what works pretty well with Flagberg, and that is the Zorga ride line, especially when you run quite a few orders as well. You see here at the bottom we have 7 orders of the Nectar and the Condensation. Condensation is just great at getting all the cards that you need to enable your multi-attacks, and Nectar just allows you to do some finisher plays, and you just have the great card with great Inlet Pulse Dragon. It's just such a good card, and especially it is built for Flagberg, so you get the maximum effect. So overall, just a very nice, very cool deck. And again, will only get better as the meta changes. So very cool. Next we have is for V-premium for Spain. First place was What Does MDR Mean? They're taking Gurgit, Prism, and Tachikaze. Now, I think like pretty much the big picks right now, you're going to see this in a lot of decks, is the Gurgits and also the Prism. Right, but you know, Tachikaze is a very interesting one. The second place, you have Brexit Copian Among Us, who brought Prism, Luard, and Narukami. Right, and then third was Les Inconis with a really weird lineup. This one was taking Shahrodamon, which is kind of just it's pretty normal. But then they decided to bring a Chaos Breaker Dragon, a Link Trigger. That's not that how do you say it, common. And then we had the Vanquisher Narukami as well. And then fourth place again was Hungarian Ventura. And they brought Geek Chronicle, which is interesting, like not common. But then they brought Dungaree, right? Dungaree, not even Vanquisher, they brought Dungaree. So that one is very interesting. And then we had the Gurgit list as well. So we're going to take a look at 2 decks here. One is the Tachikaze list, which came first. And this one is an interesting one. It was taking the Raptor Kernel, of course, from the new set, right? But then they decided to bring Gano Blazer instead of Spider Drive, which is quite interesting. This is an interesting lineup, and then they took basically a lot of just other good cards too. So overall, pretty interesting. Tachikaze list, they kind of split with like one front, maybe to psych out their opponents, right? And the second deck we can take a look at is just the Dungaree deck, which is basically just a pure Dungaree list, and running like the Jaggy shots as well. So overall, yeah, just pure Dungaree. Right, very interesting take. Right, very interesting take. Why take Dungaree over something like a Vanquisher, which is like the tried and true, right? Yeah, cool. And then lastly, we had Premium for Spain, and this time they went to singles because there weren't enough players to run a full team tournament. You know, when you don't reach that threshold, they swap it down to singles. And we have Michael W coming in first place with Order Colony, one of the most popular picks right now in this current format. Very straightforward deck to play versus maybe something like a Nightmare Doll. Then in second place we have Kalen F playing the Highlander list that he was playing like last time, pretty much. And then third place got Anthony H playing Hanzo for Nubatama, and then fourth was Oran Q with Order Colony as well. So I guess the interesting deck here is this kind of Hanzo deck for premium. We haven't really seen much of Nubatama in premium. I think a lot of people are just hyping up the Daihozan, but you know, Hanzo really making waves. And again, I think I've mentioned quite a few times, whenever you see one of these premium Nubatama lists, hey, they're running Mizukaze, they're probably doing something right? So we've got that going, and the rest of it is just, it's just doing what Nubatama does, right? Just doing what Nubatama does. So good stuff. Next, we do have Texas, and this is the standard Texas list. First, we have the team We Got Carry taking Kyrie, Gravidia, and Magnolia. So I have to say, like, this is kind of like my kind of lineup. If this was like, if I was going to a tournament for teams, right? It's pretty meta lineup, right? Pretty meta lineup. Kyrie is the new kid on the block that's just like really good. You know, Magnolia and Gravidia had just been doing very well as well. So very cool. In second place was the Prison Water Chickens. They brought Seraph, Nirvana, and Flagberg. So once again, we see that Flagberg popping up again. And then in third place, we have Satisfaction playing Gravidia, Seraph, and Magnolia. And then fourth, we have Nebula Knight taking a Magnolia, Gravidia, and Seraph lineup. So pretty cool. This Kyrie should definitely be making more waves, in my opinion, you know? Then we can take a look at the Flagberg list again, right? This is from the Prison Water Chickens team. They pretty much brought a very similar Flagberg list to the one before, except they didn't take the Zorga line, so they just ran full normal, and then didn't run any orders, but they ran like a few more power pumping cards to kind of make your attacks hit in desperate situations. So pretty interesting there. Then we had Texas. So this was actually won by my good friend Noman, right, from WCC, and he took a Gurgit, Nightmare Doll, Gurgit, Night Rose, and Prism lineup. So this one is just pretty straightforward, right? Great decks all around. Then we had Percival limit to 5. Assuming this is because you can run Percival and the Holy Shine Dragon, but we'll see, right? Yeah, they brought Gurgit, Prism, and Himiko, right? Very interesting. Then we've got Vanguard Boys A Squad, who brought Malkuth, Himiko, and Thing Saver Dragon. That is a weird lineup. That is a really weird lineup. And then lastly, in the fourth place, we have Blacklight taking Raging Form, Prism, and a Night Rose deck. So again, Night Rose is a popular pick, but you know, the ones to look out for is like the Gurgit and the Prisms, which surprisingly didn't. At least the Gurgit wasn't in every single deck. Prism nearly was in every deck, just missing one. But let's kind of take a look at this Malkuth list that somehow made it. They're third place as well, so gonna have to at least be doing pretty well, right? Pretty well. I guess again, one of the biggest perks about this deck is the surprise factor. What does this deck do? I don't know. It does a bunch of big attacks. I think it also plays Protect too, right? In certain situations. So, you know, people see you playing Protect 2 and they're like, what is going on? And suddenly they win. So, pretty cool. Then we had, again, Texas Premium. This was also, again, won by a Noman's team, WCC TTH baby, right? And they brought Order Colony. This should be a Zeal. I actually know that this Dimension Police is a Zeal list, and Nightmare Dolls, right? Then in second place, Born for Greatness took a Highlander, I assume, and then a Minerva or Regalia, and then an Order Colony. Then the Order of the Jewel Colony took Narukami, Jewel Knights, and which is Royal Paladins, and an Order Colony. And then in fourth place, they have Showtime, who took Order Colony, Nightmare Dolls, and a Gurgit. So we see Order Colony basically in every single one of these decks, which is quite interesting. Actually more popular than Nightmare Dolls, right? Nightmare Dolls are only showing up too. I think in America, we actually just don't see that many Nightmare Dolls. It's actually kind of interesting. But yeah, again, Noman, back-to-back wins, all right? Wins. This was actually on the Saturday, so he won this first, and then the next day, he won V-premium the next day. So that's pretty insane. Big congrats to him. Big congrats. Put in work, and it paid off. All right, cool. Good stuff. And then let's move on to Singapore. So this is kind of the first of our AO region, right? And this was kind of unique in that since Singapore's COVID restrictions apparently are causing issues, not able to run like proper Springfest like team tournaments, which is kind of, you know, it's a bit sobering that, you know, things are still happening around the world. They had to run like kind of like a qualifier tournament at local card shops, and the winners of those were able to participate in the Springfest. So basically, you know, the best of the best, you had to qualify for this tournament. You don't get to just walk in and play. And this was well, for standard, this was won by Gavin, who was bringing like a Magnolia list. Then second place was Sky with Gravidia, and then third was, I think is this T-H-Y-T? Is it T Hanyong? Bringing Magnolia, and then fourth was Josh L with a Barrow Magnus. So again, this Magnolia lineup, very, very popular. It's a great deck, but again, we see the Gravidia, and then, you know, the Barrow popping up. So pretty nice. Then again, for the V-premium list, we've got Saram taking the Gurgit. Second was Elson O with the Himiko coming second. And then third was So JC with Gurgit again. And then in fourth place, we've got Mervin taking his Orange list. Now, this one's interesting. We don't see any Prisms. We see two Gurgits, right? And then an interest like a Himiko and an Orange list. Pretty weird. Pretty weird. No, a bit surprising, right? And then in premium, we have Jahao taking Order Colony, and then William with the Nightmare Dolls coming second, and Cha YC with Nightmare Dolls coming third, and then Gabriel with the fourth place Highlander list. So this looks pretty meta. Honestly, this looks like a pretty meta split, right? And I think that is pretty much that for Singapore. So let's kind of move on back to the team tournaments. We also had Malaysia from the area region. This one was won by a Magnolia Gravidia Nirvana first place. I think this is a Singapore team, actually. And then the second place was Magnolia Gravidia Bruce, right? And then third place was Barrow, Magnolia, and Seraph. And then fourth place was actually Ryan Kai's team. So he topped that pretty well. And he took a Gravidia, Bastion, and Prison lineup. So Seraph lineup. It's pretty interesting. Not every, again, didn't take the Magnolia, which is interesting. It's actually quite interesting that also no one took Kyrie. Right? No one took Kyrie in their list, which is weird, right? Which is weird. And then in V-premium, we have the winner being Prism, Raging Form, and Gold Paladin, Gurgit. And then second place, we had another Orange list, right? Mervin bought Orange before, and then this was actually Hongwai's team. So Hongwai from WCC as well, coming second at V-premium. He actually came top 8 at standard the previous day, but unfortunately, you know, we don't show top 8 here. But yeah, I think he was playing the Himiko. He was playing the Himiko here. But yeah, we had the Gurgit, Orange, and Himiko list. And then in third place, there was the Genesis, Astral Poets, Raging Form, and Gurgit. And in fourth place was Narukami Vanquisher, Prism, and Gurgit. So nearly everyone took like the Prism Gurgit lineup, but you know, I guess, well, everyone had a Gurgit. I guess that's something that we should pick up here. Pretty crazy. And then in a premium for Malaysia, we had Regalia, Order Colony, and a Beatrice, right, in first place. In the second place, we had a Link Joker, a Chaos, right, with Morfessa and Beatrice. And in third place, we have Shiranui, Nubatama, Order Colony, and Shadow Paladin. And then fourth place was a weird one. This was taking I think this is Bad Endragger with Vowing Sword and Eradicators, and then an Aquaforce. So pretty. We've seen the Thavis builds quite often, but let's kind of see what we can find. So I think I was able to dig up the Shiranui list, right, which is a bit different to the Hanzo list we saw previously. But again, I was talking about the Mizukazes, and there they are. But this one's also running the Capture Order. Capture Order, it's going to combo with Mukuro, so you can like kind of get a lot of draws going. So yeah, this one's a different take to Nubatama, which is pretty cool. I like these if there's like just different builds. So yeah, very, very cool there. And then lastly, we have Indonesia as well, right? Indonesia. So many. There's just so many. First place was Ogre Ascension. They were taking Nirvana, Gravidia, and Barrow Magnus. So no Magnolia pick here. But then we got WCC Jolmont on a bicycle. So this was consisting of 3 WCC members. So we had Derek, who flew all the way there. Then we had Weirab himself, who was decided to play Kyrie, right? And then we had Jonathan Haptison, also a well-known name. And they all played in this and came second, right? And they brought Kyrie, Magnolia, and a Bastion, yeah? And then Ogre Onslaught was third. So these are just the Ogre teams, but I think I was told that, like, they're all different shops or different kind of groups. So you have the Ascension group, you have the Onslaught group. I think it's an Infinity group as well. But yeah, so Ogre Onslaught, I think that they're an Indonesian team too. So yeah, so this was Magnolia, Bastion, and Gravidia for the third place team, and then we got the CCW, which is the crit win with Magnolia, Seraph, and Gravidia. So pretty nice. Then we had the V-premium, right? So they actually split up for V-premium, the WCC team. So Hapism went on to play V-premium by himself, and he came first place. He was playing the Luard here, and then they also brought the Prism and the Gurgit. So big congrats there, getting that first place. And then the second place team took a Raging Form, Prism, and Gurgit. And then third place was a Prism, Sanctuary, and a Night Rose. And then fourth place was a Gurgit, Prism, and a Fenrir. So this is a nearly fully super meta kind of lineup. Look at this. Nearly a Prism and a Gurgit in every single team except for third place. We decided to take Sanctuary Guard. Alright, Sanctuary Guard. Would have liked to see the Sanctuary Guard deck, but maybe we'll see it on Thursday. And then lastly, we had the premiums. Okay. WCC no motorcycle, because they didn't win the motorcycle from the previous day. Again, like, I think they won a phone. So if they came second place, they got a phone. First place won a motorcycle. And this one was just Weirab and Derek, and I think Kevin Galini. But yeah, they were able to take the dub and come first place, which is great. They brought a Beatrice, or they brought a Grand Blue, right? A Nightmare Doll. Guess who was playing that? And they brought Tavis as well, which is what Weirab was playing. So very cool. Then second place was Minerva C, Police C, Dinosaurus. They brought a Tachikaze, okay, to second place, and a Regalia and the Dimension Police. So these lists are getting pretty wild, I'm not gonna lie, right? We have Alay and Cool Kids. We brought Auto Colony, but then they brought Nova Grapplers and a Riviera deck. And then fourth was Team Yoru, who also brought Grand Blue, Nova Grapplers, and a Dimension Police. Now, the Nova Grappler is actually quite interesting, because I think several worlds before we've been seeing a couple of, at least the Indonesian players do bring that kind of Nova Grappler deck to there. So it's always kind of been a sleeper hit, I guess. So it's kind of interesting to just see these Nova Grapplers popping up. But I guess they all, like, if you look at this lineup, let's look at this. If you look at this lineup, the meta in Indo is actually robots. Because not only do you have like 2 Nova Grapplers here, they're robots, you also have 2 Dimension Police. And I was also heard there was 4 Dimension Police in top 8, is what I heard. So they love their robots, and you could also say the dinosaur here is also, you know, like robot dinosaurs, right? But we're gonna take a look at the Novas and the Tachikaze list. So this one was the Tachikaze list, which brought Anger Blader, and I feel like this is a super high roll list, because I'm seeing some crazy stuff here. One is the Anger Blader, right? When you see Anger Blader, it is always very, very, you'll go high roll. You're like, wow, this is a definite high roll list. But look at this. They brought this guy. They brought Dino Chaos, which means you could spear right up and then just like pop off, right? You can just pop off on your opponent, just like, I don't know, dumb dinosaurs all over them, stride in their face, and the Buros them while they're at 2 or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities for high roll in this deck, which is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie, maybe it's too crazy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Then next, let's look at the first Nova Grappler list here. So one thing is that a lot of these Nova Grapplers, they run the new Victor, right? You see Excel Victor, pretty cool. It gives an Excel cycle, but they also run one of this Zubat, because Zubat Victor was pretty good, right? One of the best Victors released. Well, to be honest, it is the best Victor released like back then, but it still has some very, very good things about it. In that, you know, you can just spam your soul, spam your counterblast, and still get something back. So right, it encourages to keep on popping off with your resources, and that's pretty much what Nova Grappler is all about. This one is also running 2 of the prison here as well, just a soul charge. It also rests one of your units. It is quite big, because then you can stand them. You know, if you rest something, you can stand them, and then you get more busted shots, and It's basically one of the big plays that you can really do with this deck. So overall, pretty interesting. A lot of just like other cards just like standing stuff. So very nice. In the second Nova list here as well, we can see a pretty similar lineup. Again, we see like 4 V Victor, but then, you know, 1 Zubat, yeah, because it's cool, right? It's cool. But then we also have like things like some interesting stuff, like this Ultimate Riser Dual Flare that we didn't see in the other deck. This one is not running any single prisons as well. So it's just straight up just like a slightly different list. It's a slightly different list, running a lot of, again, just running a lot of the, it seems to run a lot of like one-off counter charges and all that. So yeah, very interesting. And again, you know, if you can just pop off like with Busted, I guess, and then just like win off. He's only running 1 Scarlet Bird though, which is quite interesting. Only 1 Scarlet Bird. So yeah, very interesting list. I think the Nova Grapple list is basically new this time. It's one of the newer lists from kind of the SEA region, which is really cool to see. Overall, now we get to start comparing between every single region too. We can compare the EU. Well, I think the NA and the EU ones are basically reaching the end, and then, you know, the last few weeks are just basically going to be the SEA kind of regions. And then at the end, we can all kind of compare, right? We can all kind of compare about what's been going on. But yeah, big congrats to Derek, Wirab, and Haptism as well for coming in first place in their respective kind of premium formats, and then the second place on the first day at standard. So good stuff. Anyway, that is basically all the results today. I did it a bit late, but there was just so many results to compile through. Again, go follow Fuzzy Paradox for all the great news, and then also go check out, we'll have more on Thursday at least. We'll be going through each top decks, but again, at the end, usually after every single BSF, we do a big BSF tour, right, of what people post. Right, what people post. But yeah, that is it for today. Let me know what you guys think. Go make sure to watch the big kind of announcements tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.